And when I got to Chicago in the spirit, I went to 4847 South Woodlawn Avenue on the 3rd floor where Wallace's bedroom was, and Elijah Muhammad was sitting on the bed crying. And I never heard a man cry like he cried that night. It was a cry that was coming deep from within himself, and over again he said, "My son, my son, my son." I'm at the window looking at him and listening to him. And I said, "Dear Apostle, I will be your son." He never turned to acknowledge what I said or my presence. So I left that window, went on back to Boston, and got back in my body. I mean, I know the enemy gonna say I'm crazy, but damn it, today, wait a minute, I challenge all of them. Meet me anywhere. God has made someone today that will defeat you all. I went back, I picked up my book, Bible, and as I did, I studied in the morning. And I read about David. And I read about David's son, Absalom. And how David told his captain there was a war going on between the followers of Absalom and the followers of David. And David told his captain, "If you capture my son, don't kill him, spare his life." And the Bible says that David's son was caught up in a tree, his hair. And the captain that heard David's instructions speared Absalom through. And when David got the news of his son's death, they could hear him crying out in the tent, "My son, my son, my son." In 1974, I brought my mother to the palace. And this was her first time being in the home of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And at the end of the dinner, he said to my mother, who didn't understand his words, he said, "I thank you for producing this wonderful son for me." And my mother, she said later, "Well, I ain't never had nothing to do with that man." She didn't understand. But he was making me into himself. A son should always reflect his father. That's how you know he's the Father's son. Everything that I have taught you, I got it from him. I want you to hear me. I'm getting to the Great War. Just give me a few more minutes. He was making me into himself. And he told me after Malcolm X, my mentor, was assassinated and I was asked to take his place as the minister in New York, he said, I will never teach another man like I taught Malcolm until I have thoroughly tried him. So being under him as his national representative for 10 years, he tried me. And if Sister Jamila, the mother of Brother Sultan Rahman, is here, she said to me, she was at dinner with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. She was his granddaughter-in-law. And he said to members of his family, he said, I have done everything I know to turn that man against me. I have made him weep, yet he would not turn. He said, I do everything for you, but you don't love me like Farrakhan loves me. You don't have to ask, am I lying? My life and the work that I have done in his name should tell you that I am his son. And my Father is well pleased with his son. Now, let's take a quick look at America to see what's happening to the great country that God is after. Just be patient with me. You know, I'm a young, old man. And before he left, listen to me carefully, because some of you that knew and know the Honorable Elijah Muhammad were witnesses of this. I was sitting in the back, in the last row back there. And he was preaching the theology of time. And he heard me bearing witness, because he wouldn't let me come out to Chicago while he was teaching. I asked him, may I come? He said, don't you have an assignment there? I said, yes, sir, dear Pa. Well, go and do your work. I'm doing mine. What could I say? Well, I kept preaching. But the believers would get on planes, they would come out during the theology of time, and when they came back to New York, I would sit like a student. What did our leaders say? And they would give me little snippets that they could remember. And after about 6 or 7 weeks, he wouldn't let me come out. I called him one day. And I said, dear Apostle, may I please come out and listen to the lecture? He said, well, I've been waiting for you to ask me that. Well, he know what he told me, but he's trying me. He's a wise teacher, man. He knew he was going to leave me in his seat with you. He knew the kind of hell that some of you would give to me. But he also knew that I loved him and I love you that love him, and I would never do nothing to harm any one of you.